Hi Rohit, welcome to the interview.
Hi,
Now,
Saurabh.
as you know, this interview might be recorded and it might be posted on social media. So I've got your CV in front of me. It might be better if you just start telling me about yourself, what you have done so far, and then we can go ahead with the questions.
Yeah, sure. My name is Rohit Kumar, and I have graduated in the year 2022. And from then, for 6 months, I was learning Amazon Web Services. And then in the Jan 2023, on exact 9th, today is 9th, right? On Jan 9th, I was joined into my company. It's been 11 months. So I do have, like, for the first 3 months, I was into Python and Django development, like the web development. And then I was slowly transformed into cloud and DevOps guy. My day-to-day responsibilities will be like we have three applications. Mine will be like building CI/CD pipelines initially, and then maintaining the infrastructure of all the three applications in AWS. And we are using Nginx to mapping the domain names, and we are using cron jobs. You're using lambdas to switch on and switch off the instances according to the needs of the developers. And yes, we are I'm the only DevOps team for the entire three projects. And
Mhm.
I'm maintaining QA, prod, yes, and we are also moving to Oracle Cloud now. We have a this big client. We have to make sure that the application is running in Oracle Cloud, and I'm learning. And yes, I'm also trying to learn Azure and GCP as well. I just started, just a beginner at that.
Right. And how big is your organization?
Um, it's not so big. The entire organization structure is like we have 200 members.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because you said that you are the one taking care of all the projects. So
Yes,
yeah.
no, my internal team, we have a internal product. We have three products. For that, I'm the DevOps guy. Not all the 200 members are working in the same project. My team have 30 or 35 members, so I'm the DevOps guy for them.
Okay. Sure. So can you elaborate more about your day-to-day responsibilities as DevOps engineer?
Yes, the first one is the first priority is like my production thing. Whenever the application that we have is like we'll get new data and we'll be posting some new visualizations to client. That's the high level understanding of the application. So whenever we get the new data, that will be moved to QA, and then after QA validations, we'll be moving that to prod. We have MS SQL, where backend as backend, and in the morning, I have to make sure that we have Lambda functions and event bridge rules to spin up the QA and prod. And I have to by 10 o'clock, and I have to make sure that they are on and running by 10:10. So we're using Linux instances. Yes, I'm learning Oracle nowadays. And initially, I used to build CI/CD pipelines. I used to analyze the cost, whether we had to go with a Windows or Linux, or what is the instance type, or T2 X large or 2X large. So it's typically based on traffic. We used to spin up or down.
Mhm.
That's my
And what are the major challenges that your organization has faced as DevOps? So, what are the major challenges that your organization has faced? And can you tell me about some of your DevOps activities that might have contributed to solutions?
the major thing is like our application, right? In our application, we have this sudden spike. We have this biggest database reading capacity. So the application, we have GBs and GBs of database, and we have to get the database every time the clients hit a particular API. We have to render the we have to make sure the store process in the database run, and we have to get the data from backend to front end, and then we have to show them the graphs. So to solve these, I have gone through the Nginx caching mechanism, for which I set to 10 minutes, the Nginx one. And we have separate domains for different clients. So for which I have gone through the subdomain based caching mechanism. The burden on the database is a little bit low now based on the previous one.
Okay. So, what are the different cost optimization strategies that you applied for to your database?
See, for my database,
Yep.
see, we were running our database in our instance itself for now, and we are now trying to scale up as the application is in not like is in mid level. It is not
Mhm.
that much high. So we have separate database instance which is in private,
Okay.
and we are trying to scale up and down the CPU percentage based on the usage, or as the number of clients we have, the active clients.
Do you use any data lake or data warehousing?
No, no, no.
Okay, all right. So there is no cost associated to the queries that you're running.
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
Let's start up with the actual interview questions now. I'll start up with easy questions, and as we progress, it might
Yeah,
start getting harder. So the basic questions. Tell
sure.
me what are the different. What do you understand by SaaS, PaaS, IaaS?
The infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, and see, these are things like which cloud providers provide us. Basically, infrastructure as a service is like they provide the bare metal infrastructure. For example, EC2 instances. We go and we'll buy the EC2 instances and we pay for that. We pay for whatever we are using, the number of hours we are using, the CPU utilization. Whereas software as a service is something that it will take the for example, we have AWS QuickSight. So we have AWS QuickSight, which is a software as a service, wherein if you have data, we can directly visualize the thing. And yes, these are aspects that I
Okay.
see. It typically, as a name suggests.
All right. Tell me about something about serverless computing and how does it differ from a traditional server architecture?
See, imagine that I'm a startup, I'm CEO of a startup, and I have some 10 clients, and I don't know when the 10 clients will be logged in. And if for the 10 clients, if I have to make sure that the entire infrastructure is running 24/7, it's not a cost effective thing, right? What if I can make the server up when the traffic is in? That is the main idea on the logic where the serverless was begin. And coming to serverless, we have Lambda functions, SQS, SNS to make the systems more robust, cost optimization, and like they can scale abnormal. Like, if our system is, if you are using the infrastructure currently, so that cannot scale up that efficiently. Whereas in Lambda functions or the serverless, the scaling up will be much more like 10x or 20x. So the scaling up is a factor and cost is a factor.
Yeah. What do you understand by cloud native applications?
Cloud native applications which uses the entirely cloud services, if I'm not
Mhm.
wrong.
And why using cloud native applications are more beneficial than traditionals?
They will entirely be managed by Amazon Web Services, so we'll have that little bit like very low downtime and no manual interventions.
Okay. Can you tell me about what are the different services
Hello.
that can you tell me about what are the different services that are normally consumed in when you are having cloud native applications?
Cloud native applications, we have Fargate, we have Lambda. If I'm correct me if I'm not wrong, like I've not been into that. We have
Okay.
Fargate, Lambda, SQS, SNS. For databases, we have RDS, Aurora, if you want, for serverless.
All right. And you're forgetting containerization and
Hmm.
EKS Pro. Okay. Tell me something about if you have an application, how
Hmm.
would you, so let's say you've got a 5 tier application, including all the integration components, you've got web layer, you've got data layer. What are the different aspects of security that you would consider in order to make it secure?
So let's come from the client. Imagine we started from client and we ended at the database level. So from the client at the Route 53 or CloudFront, we'll make sure that we'll try to avoid that 10 most commonly affected thing. Like we have WAF, Web Application Firewalls from Amazon Web Services. It will cost around $5 to $10 a month. That's not a great cost. That's the first layer of security. Coming to then we have VPC. We'll have internet gateway and we'll have VPC, and which will be dividing that into public and private subnets. And for every public and private subnets, we'll keep a load balancer in between all the public and private subnets. We'll only keep front end at the public subnet and everything on the private subnet, so that we will not be compromising on security. And then we'll only be allowing the security security groups. We'll make sure the only required groups are allowed. And for scaling up, we have auto scaling groups and security. Yes, I think I will consider that.
Okay. How about encryption?
Encryption, like our application, we have an inbuilt encryption key. Like we don't use KMS, but we use some inbuilt mechanism of encryption.
Hmm.
But generally, it's good to follow KMS.
Okay. Any whitelisting protocols that you would like to follow in order to secure your application? Any
Any
IP
whitelisting
whitelisting?
protocols? Yes, we can always go through the security groups and using NACLs, right? We can avoid particular IP addresses, the particular range. And if you want, we can also go for Shield, which avoids the DDoS attacks on our application.
Okay. Tell me the importance of AWS CloudTrail.
AWS CloudTrail is useful to, like, no. to know where exactly what do I say? To know what is the process going on, or to know where exactly the error is happening, or
That would be CloudWatch.
yes. Yeah, CloudTrail is something like, if I'm an administrator, I have to make sure that who is coming and doing manipulations across all the services in my
That's
AWS.
who is doing what. So that
Yes, yes,
all right.
yes. I was a little bit
So
confused.
tell me something about so one of the easiest topics is S3.
Yes,
Now tell me something about if you have got lots of data in S3, how would you search data in S3? S3,
we
yep.
yes,
Does S3 provide a native search of the data?
yes, we have that S3 native search, but I forgot the name exactly. But we do have in S3.
Okay.
No, Athena. No, is that Athena? Yes, no, I forgot the name.
Okay, that's all right.
But S3 do have.
Yeah. All right. Tell me, what do you understand by a single sign-on and SAML?
Single sign-on, which is typically used to allow someone to log into our application. It's more of like a security
Mhm.
thing for the entire application. We have to make sure that the correct person is logging into the application, so it's used in that way.
Yeah, but can you tell me this? What are the steps involved in SAML?
No, I didn't have that hands-on on
Have
example.
you
I didn't
had?
use it.
Yeah, you haven't worked on federated identity.
No, no.
All right. Tell me about one of the most complex challenges that you faced while doing your DevOps journey.
That was recently, last 2 or 3 weeks back. That was like, we have this prod instance. Generally, prod is like, we have prod instance for this very our company have been developing it from last 2 years. So what happened was, there is a scenario that one of my manager asked me, "Hey Rohit, go and create a user so that like one of my developer wants to use FTP." Okay, so okay, go and as 3 or 4 applications are running in that production instance, my manager asked me, "Hey Rohit, create a user and only give access for the user to particular file, and don't give access for the entire EC2 instance, so that we can make sure that the manipulations will not be done." What I have done is, the dumbest thing I have done is, I've gone through and I've created a user, and in SSHD I have I made that password authentication to S. But what happens by default, when we create an instance in Ubuntu, we don't have a password for the Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu user.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, everything is fine. I can able to log in. The user can able to log in using the password. I shared him. He's working, and once the instance was turned down in the morning, and it was turned up in the next day, I was not able to log into the Ubuntu because I don't have password, and I set password authentication to S in SSHD. And for this user, I can able to log in, right? The new user, I didn't given him sudo permissions. He don't have access to go to any other user's files. So what happens? From the luckiest thing I have is, I have a cron job running to run up the application every time the instance is up. So that saved me. Otherwise I cannot be able to log in. So what I have done for this is like, so this is a typical scenario. I don't have access to the entire application. I cannot no, deploy the new applications. I cannot do modifications in the applications, right? Because I don't have access. I don't have Ubuntu password, and the new user don't have the access to the Ubuntu. So what I have done is, I have like, during the stoppage hours, I have take the volume snapshot and created a new volume from the snapshot, and attached it as the secondary volume to the new instance I have created, and then modified the SSSD persistence, and then the password of the Ubuntu, and then no, remove, detach the volume, and then make a snapshot for the safe case, and then from the original instance, I have removed the volume and attached this volume there, so that the Ubuntu have password, and it saved me. Or else I would have been in a lot of pressure.
Okay. How frequently have you been using IAM for
IAM, yeah, like my account is an IAM. We don't use root account.
No. What I mean is, do you
Yes,
have roles and access created in IAM for your application?
yes, we do.
Okay. Can you tell me the importance of roles, groups, and users?
Yeah, our EC2 instance will be pushing all the logs to S3. We have policies. We have a role which can access EC2, which EC2 can access the S3, and our
Mm-hmm.
Lambda function has to spin up the EC2, right? We have a role for Lambda to access the
Mm-hmm.
like the stopping and starting access for EC2 instance. Yes, these are.
Okay. Have you used CloudWatch?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain me how you would connect from EC to how would you send your EC2 metrics to CloudWatch?
We only use that monitoring tab. We haven't sent that EC2 log separated to CloudWatch.
So what I meant was that if you have an application and you're
Mhm.
generating metrics and logs, so how do you actually send it to any other monitoring tool?
Currently, we're not sending.
You're not sending it, but if you were to
Yes.
send to, would you?
Sorry?
If you were to send
Yes.
your application logs to any other monitoring tool, how would you do that?
Yes. I'm not sure. I have to figure out.
That's all right. Okay. Do you know what is DynamoDB?
Yes.
Have you used it?
No, we haven't used. We used for RDS. Like
Okay.
mine is like not a NoSQL. We have MySQL thing.
Okay. Any sort of automations that you have done?
Yes, this
Now,
uh,
when I spent sorry, I should have asked. In infrastructure as code, have you done any sort of automation?
I but, like no, we don't have that requirement because our developers don't need that. But I know Terraform
You know,
and CloudFormation. Yes.
cloud formation as well. Can you tell me the benefits of using cloud formation stack sets?
Can we go with Terraform? I'm more comfortable with.
All right. Okay. Tell me about the. And you said that you haven't used Terraform in a professional capacity. You just know it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
No, but I have practiced it, but there is no need to use Terraform in my company.
Okay.
So
All right. So what's the Terraform state?
it's a Terraform state file, which means like it will store the entire infrastructure we have created using that Terraform main file, TF file. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We should not try to manually change it because it may lead to some infrastructure confusions. When we try to stop the entire infrastructure we have created in Terraform using the stop, and if that infrastructure is not present in AWS, that may lead to some confusion. So I prefer not to touch state files, and we can also go for state file locking using S3 and DynamoDB as a
Mm-hmm.
backend using AWS.
Okay. Can you tell me something about AWS Transit Gateway?
AWS Transit Gateway. Can you give a hint about uh, like, what
Maybe
is Transit Gateway?
VPN connections?
Okay, to connect to like two VPNs.
Yes.
No, we are not using that as of now.
Let's come to my favorite topic, Kubernetes. How experienced are you in
Oh,
Kubernetes?
lovely. I can able to, I can use EKS clusters. I can able to spin up pods, deployment services, ingress, uh, load balancers. I know what are the limitations of Kubernetes, what are the limitations of Docker, and why we have to go for Kubernetes.
So if let's say if I've scheduled a pod and it is crashing, how would you investigate it? Why a pod is crashing?
We'll like integrate Prometheus or Grafana for metrics. To know the crashing, I think we can go for logs. I think pod logs.
Anything else?
No, I don't remember anything else. Crashing. Or else if that is crashing,
Or if a pod is in pending state, what do you think the problem might be?
maybe in like resources, no enough resources.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm pretty much done with the basic level of questions. And
Yeah,
because you haven't had exposure to a lot of different things in here, I'm not really sure as to how do I ask you, because otherwise I would
that's
have asked you
fine.
a
Please ask.
question.
If I don't know,
All right. So I had a few questions on DynamoDB, but that's all
that's
right.
fine.
Cloud formation. Can you tell me? You said that you are more familiar in Terraform anyway. Data lakes you haven't done.
Yes.
Tell me about uh, tell me about what is AWS Fargate. What do you understand by that?
See, AWS Fargate is something which can be. It's like serverless EC2. We can spin up instances as per our need and close it. We can use Docker as a backend, Docker images from GitHub, like or else a Docker ECR. We can spin up and we can spin down as per
Right.
requirement.
And if what are the advantages of using Fargate over your EKS?
Fargate, for example, in our application we have this Fargate. So whenever a user uploads data, uh, an entire an AI application should run to forecast the data. So it hardly takes 1 or 2 hours of time, and it should not spin up until the next time the data will be coming. So I have to like if I use EKS, then I have to make sure the pod is running every time. Or else in Fargate, when the user updated the data, I can spin up the Fargate instance,
Mhm.
and then when the it's done, I can post optimization.
All right. And you said that you have managed databases. I'll tell you a few words about databases and you describe what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
What is indexing?
Indexing is something like which is used to speed up the operations.
What is sharding?
Sharding is dividing the databases and accessing them.
Okay. What do you understand by query optimization?
Query optimization, like see, we can get the results by any form, but we have to get the results by the most optimal way, like so that there will be no that heavy duty on the databases. So the number of operations performed on database will be higher if your query is more optimized.
Okay. So why do you think companies are going towards data warehousing rather than just using RDS? What are the constraints of RDS?
See, data warehousing, the RDS is a sort of database which is just so. Whereas in database warehouse we have this extra things like we can get the data from anywhere, we can store it, we can uh, divide it, and we can get insights from it directly. So
Okay.
there is a complete different thing.
Right. Uh, in one case, which I have recently seen, data warehousing was planned to be used, but then it was dropped due to a certain reason.
Okay.
Okay. And then RDS was chosen again. Can you tell me one reason that might have prevented an organization to use data warehousing?
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, it's a basic cost optimization because each
Uh-huh.
query in data warehouse that costs to run, and if if your
Mm-hmm.
data is in, let's say, terabytes, some of
Mm-hmm.
the queries might even cost $10 to $15 each.
Yes.
So that prevented one of the organizations in running it in a data warehouse, and then they actually
Okay.
use the RDS because query running is inexpensive.
Yeah.
Tell me about the importance of VPC and
Mm-hmm.
how does it enhance the network security?
See, VPC is something like our system has a separate cloud, like as a name suggests, virtual private cloud. It's when we create a VPC, it is our separate cloud, so nothing will have access to our VPC in the data center. I'm speaking in terms of data center,
Hmm.
because the in data center all the systems are together, right? So we cannot divide them. So in terms of VPC, we can divide them. We can give security to all the applications running. We can give security to all the instances running. We can make sure that only particular IP addresses entering, what are the inbound and outbound traffic using NACL at the subnet level. We can divide the VPC into subnets so that different applications can use different EC2 instances can use them. And yes, these are the importance of VPC.
Okay. And how would you design a highly available and fault tolerant architecture?
Speaking about 3-tier architectures, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yes, like again coming from the client side, we'll have Route 53, WAF attached. We'll have VPC. Uh, we have internet gateway for the entire VPC. We have three instances like a public, private, and then private. From the public subnet, we'll have that front end running. In the two private subnets, we'll have backend and the database running. Database, I'll go with RDS because we have that replication factor, so it's highly fault tolerant. In the backend one, we'll have auto scaling in between the we'll have load balancer and then auto scaling and then the backend one. So whenever we have to perform more operations on backend, we can scale up, and we'll have at the internet gateway. After that, we'll have a load balancer, and then to the front end, and then in between we'll have an auto scaling group. We can scale it as per our needs, and we'll be using the load balancer address to
Yeah.
communicate between them.
Cool. All right. I think I'm done with my questions, Rohit.